Hey folks, welcome to the July edition of Reset and Restore. For today's class, we're going to be taking it slow, taking it easy, doing more of a yin-style class. So if you're someone who gets cold easily, you might want to have a sweater or socks available. For today's class, I'll also be propping using 2 blocks and a bolster. You might appreciate having these things as well. In place of these, you could always use big books for the blocks, and you can always use a cushion, like maybe from your couch, for the bolster. So let's go ahead and get started on our backs. Finding your way to the floor and finding yourself in a comfortable reclined position. I like to plant my feet on the floor and walk them out to about the edges of my mat, and then let my knees fall inward. In this position, we like to call constructive rest. This takes the tension off my low back. Of course, you're welcome to take any reclined posture that feels good for you, legs outstretched, etc. And we'll begin today's class by really focusing on coming into our bodies and letting go of anything that's sticking with us from our week, from our day. Let's begin to gather our attention in the body using the breath as a portal, breathing deeply in through the nose, filling the belly with air, and then slowly, gently releasing that breath. We'll do that twice more, breathing deeply in through the nose, inhaling deeply, filling the belly with air, and letting it go slowly and gently. And once more, breathing deeply in. And letting it go. And now let's allow the breath to return to its natural rhythm. But let's become aware of where in the body we're breathing, noticing whether you're breathing into the chest or the belly. You might bring one hand to the chest, one hand to the belly to give you a tactile cue here. And if you notice that your breath is concentrated in the chest, more of a shallow breath, I'm curious, can you deepen that breath and send it into the belly? And on your next breath cycle, is it possible to extend the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale, making your out breath a little longer than the in breath? And now bringing both hands to the belly, let's imagine that with our next in-breath, we were filling up a balloon in the low belly with air. So feeling for that expansion of the belly on the in-breath. And now let's allow the breath to resume its natural rhythm, allow the body to breathe itself. And let's do a short body scan to continue bringing our awareness into the body here, bringing your attention to the eyebrows. Can you relax the eyebrows? Can you soften the jaw and perhaps allow the tongue to release from the roof of your mouth? Relax the root of the tongue. Can you soften between the shoulder blades? Can you soften the heart center? Can you relax your belly? Can you relax the pelvic floor, glutes, thighs, calves, and feet? Can you relax the arms, the hands, the fingers, the toes? And now taking a moment to notice whether there's anywhere in the body that is feeling some level of discomfort or pain, and directing your attention, directing your breath toward that part of the body, if there is one. And let's take one more deep breath in and let it go. And from here, let's bring our hands to rest on the floor beside our body and bring the soles of the feet together as we allow the knees to fall open in this reclined bound angle posture. Now, if you're like me, your knees are probably hanging in the air here. If you would like to allow a little bit more relaxation into the pose, you might bring blocks to prop the knees up. Essentially, these blocks are raising the level of the floor up to meet your body here. And when we give ourselves this support in the posture, it can help our body and our nervous system to feel safe enough to release a little bit further into the posture. Get my timer started here so I can keep us on track. So as we hold these postures in today's class, we'll be in each pose for a couple of moments. The idea behind these long periods in each one of our postures, in each asana, is to both allow the nervous system to relax into the posture and also to let our muscles relax and let go of the work. So we're here in our bodies, breathing into the belly, noticing any sensations that are coming up for us in this posture. Sometimes this posture can feel a little bit vulnerable. On the back, belly exposed, with our legs open, noticing how you're feeling right now. Connecting with the breath. Perhaps noticing the weight of the body on your mat. Perhaps noticing the temperature of the air on your skin. You might like to set an intention for today's class. Perhaps the intention to allow yourself to let something go. Is there something that has been weighing heavy on your heart or weighing heavy on your mind? Something that's been just using up, sucking up your vital life force energy. what would happen if you released that just a little bit? Give yourself permission to let it go just the tiniest bit. Do you notice any release in the body when you offer yourself the option of releasing whatever it is that's weighing on your heart? You might not, and of course that's okay. Simply noticing. Reconnecting with the breath. Feeling the body heavy on the floor, held up by your mat. And taking a deep breath in. And letting that breath go. And we'll slowly, gently release this posture. If you're using blocks, go ahead and move those out from beneath your knees. And we'll bring the feet planted on the mat about hip width apart. You can scooch them out a little bit farther away from your body if that feels better, or have them a little closer to the glutes, whatever feels good for your body right now. And let's just take a moment to open up through the low back, dropping knees from side to side. Noticing how the body feels. Any tension in the low back, in the hips. And then let's pause in the middle and bring our awareness to our pelvis as it rests on the floor. You might imagine that beneath your hips, beneath your bottom, there was a clock face with your tailbone towards your feet being 12 o'clock and the hip bones, or the top of the pelvis, toward the face being 6 o'clock. So thinking about that 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock motion, let's begin to just rock the pelvis very gently back and forth. So tucking the tail under, pointing that pelvis toward the 12 o'clock position, and then arching the spine gently and coming toward that 12 o'clock position, or that 6 o'clock position, excuse me. And we'll just move back and forth from 12 to 6 a few times here, getting a little bit of mobility in the sacrum, the sacroiliac joints, in the pelvis. And then let that go. And now, let's gently rock the pelvis from side to side as though we were going from that 3 o'clock position to the 9 o'clock position on our clock face, our imaginary pelvic clock face here. It's okay if the knees fall a little bit from side to side. Just opening up through that low back a little bit. And then pausing in the center. And now, let's think about tracing the outside of that clock face. So starting at 12 o'clock, coming around to 3, then to 6, then to 9, and back to 12. Taking a few gentle circles in this clockwise direction. Only moving within a range of motion that feels nice, that feels gentle. And once you've done 3 circles in one direction, we'll reverse directions, going 12 to 9 to 6 to 3, back to 12. And we'll do that twice more. And once you've completed your circles, we'll come back to the center and just pause for a moment. Feel the body. Reconnect with the breath. And now let's inhale and draw both knees toward the chest. Give yourself a little rock side to side. And then drop both knees over to the left side of your mat. If you would like to give yourself a little support, bring that floor up to you. You can always prop with your cushion or your blocks. And we'll reach the right arm out to the side and turn to look over that right shoulder at the right hand. Getting a little spinal twist here. Bringing the knees as close to the chest as feels good or as far away as feels good. Again, option to prop the knees or even between the knees with a cushion or your block. Really diving into the sensation of the body here. Reconnecting with the breath. Reconnecting with the body, with sensation. Noticing whether that sensation changes as you spend time in this shape, in this pose, as the tissues open up just a bit. Breathing deep into the belly. And taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Drawing the knees back toward the center of the mat. Drawing the knees into the chest and rocking side to side just a little bit here. And then dropping feet to the mat and dropping knees to the right side of the mat this time. Again, option to prop underneath the bottom knee or between the knees with your block or bolster or cushion. And extending that left arm out to the side here. Turning to look over the left shoulder. I like to rest my right hand on the top of my left knee, but that hand could rest anywhere that feels good. Maybe on the belly, maybe on the floor beside you. Making this posture your own. Meeting your body where it is today. Reconnecting with the breath, reconnecting with sensation, observing the sensation in your body, noticing how it changes from moment to moment, directing that breath deep into the belly as we give our bodies, our nervous systems, this opportunity to relax, a little bit of a reset at the end of our week. I don't know about you, but I really need it after this week. And breathing deeply in and letting it go. Drawing knees back to the center. And then once again, walking feet out to the outside of the mat. And then letting knees fall side to side for just a moment here. A little bit of a counter motion for that nice long hold we had in our reclined twist. And then coming back through center. And we'll make our way into a seated position in whatever way that works for your body. So we'll start in a similar position as we were on the mat, bringing the soles of our feet to touch. But then we're going to extend one leg long on the mat and tuck this other foot into or towards that inner thigh. So depending on your anatomy and the way your body is feeling today, that foot might be out in front of you, and that's totally fine. Or it might be tucked all the way in, also totally fine, making it work for your body. For this posture, I'm going to go ahead and use a bolster to support my upper body. So, turning the hips to face that extended leg, I'm going to gently walk my fingers out to or towards my feet, or in this case, the edge of my bolster, and allow my back to round as I forward fold over this leg into this posture. Now I notice that there's a little bit of space between my face and this bolster. So what I'm going to do to support my neck and my head is I'm going to either stack two hands or stack two fists in order to really give my body the opportunity to release and relax here. So once you've come into your version of dragonfly, refocusing on the breath, directing that breath into the belly, you might even practice extending the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. That can really help to activate our parasympathetic nervous system, bringing our body more into rest and digest mode, out of that anxious kind of fight or flight mode that we might be finding ourselves in at the end of a busy or stressful week. Noticing the sensations in your body. And then taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And then slowly, gently backing out of the posture. And we'll take that on the second side. So now extending the leg you did not extend the first time out to the side and drawing that opposite leg in so that the heel is drawing to or towards the inner thigh there. And we'll again square the hips toward the outstretched leg and gently walk the hands forward to or towards our shins, ankles, feet, or bolster. Again, doing whatever it requires to allow your body to find a level of comfort here. Again, directing the breath into the deep belly. You might extend the out-breath longer than the in-breath. Noticing the differences between the first side and the second side. I'm noticing that this side feels quite different today than my first side. Sometimes there's some interesting information in these observations. And now taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And let's slowly, gently press ourselves up to a seated position. And you can remove your bolster or cushion, anything you've used there. And from here, let's plant the hands behind us on the mat and bring our feet to the floor in front of us or to the mat in front of us. And from here, we're just going to allow our knees to drop from side to side. Again, finding that windshield wiper motion. Giving ourselves a little bit of counter movement from our forward fold. If you're on a hardwood floor like I am, you might also get a little glute massage here. And as you wrap up your final windshield wiper, we'll come into one of two options here. Totally depends on what feels good for you. Option number one is fire log pose. So for this posture, we'll tuck one foot in at sort of a parallel line in front of our bodies, and then we will bring the opposite ankle to stack on top of the bottom knee. Knee stacks on top of ankle. So you've got this fire log position here with the two logs stacked on top of one another. Now, if your knee is hanging way up in the air here, you can always consider propping with a block or a cushion, blanket, bolster. Another option, if this is not working for your body, no problem at all, we can get the same effect by going into a seated figure four. So for this version of the posture, you'll plant one foot on the floor and then bring the opposite ankle on top of that knee. And then you can use your hands to prop your body up, placing hands behind you on the mat, and then focus on flexing that top ankle and gently pressing forward with that top knee. So, whichever version of the posture you've chosen, we will keep our ankles active. Draw the spine up long if you're here on the floor with me. Really begin to sense into the weight of the tailbones on the mat, on the floor. Noticing sensation in the body, perhaps a lot of sensation in the outer hips here. Reconnecting again with the breath, sending the breath deep into the belly. You might play around with extending the exhale longer than the inhale here. Noticing how the sensation changes as we hold these postures for a longer period of time. And then inhaling deeply and letting it go. And we'll unwind the legs coming out of your fire log or figure four. You might extend those legs long and just shake them out a little bit. And then we'll move to the second side. So whichever leg was on top, we're going to swap it and we're going to put it on the bottom. Whether you are coming into fire log or figure four, your choice. The same shape applies, bringing opposite ankle onto opposite knee, knee on top of opposite ankle, feet are active, or if you're in that figure four posture, you're going to be activating that ankle and gently pressing out the top knee as you support yourself with your hands behind you on the mat. And of course, we can do this here in fire log too. Wherever you are, reconnecting with the breath and reconnecting with the body. Noticing how those sensations shift and change from moment to moment. Noticing how this side is different from the first side. Belly breathing. And then breathing deeply in. And letting it go as we unwind the legs. Let's once again shake those legs out, extend them long in front of you. Tap those knees on the floor. Maybe windshield wipe those feet from side to side. Just get a little motion here. And then we'll make our way onto our hands and knees for a little shoulder opener here. So we're going to thread the needle. We'll bring that right hand and thread it behind the left wrist, bringing the right shoulder and right temple to or towards the mat. Now this left hand can stay planted here under the left shoulder, or you can begin to walk those fingertips forward, extending the left arm long above the head. Toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels good for you. And then pressing down into the right arm, into the right shoulder, and gently leaning back away from your hand. So you're really opening up through that right shoulder blade here. Using the weight of your body and the gravity of the body on the mat to find some opening in the upper back. Reconnecting with the breath. Sending that breath deep into the belly. And then breathing deeply in. And letting it go. Planting hand once again under that left wrist, left shoulder, and pressing yourself up into a tabletop position. And then I'll take that on the second side. So threading the right hand behind the left wrist, left hand behind the right wrist, bringing left shoulder and left temple to or towards the mat, and then walking that right hand up above the head if that feels good for your body. Hand can also stay planted underneath your shoulder on the mat here. And then pressing the shoulder, the arm into the mat, and gently leaning away from your hand to really open up through that shoulder blade, the upper back. Reconnecting with the breath here. Sending that breath deep into the belly. Reconnecting with the body. Noticing how the side feels different from the first side. Getting to know this sweet body. Befriending this body that carries you through so much. And then let's take a deep breath in. And let it go. Bring that right hand underneath the right shoulder. Press up to a tabletop position. And then we'll simply walk our hands forward and lower ourselves onto our bellies. And from here, we're going to go into Sphinx pose. If you feel uncomfortable with this positioning, with the belly flat on the floor, one nice option is to bring a bolster or like a rolled up towel or a cushion of some kind beneath the pelvis, and that just creates a little bit more room for your belly on the floor. So wherever you are, let's walk the elbows in beneath the shoulders and plant the forearms and hands flat on the mat. And then we will gently reach our toes back toward the back of the mat as we open the heart ever so gently forward. So we don't want to crane the neck up and back. Really, we're thinking about keeping a neutral spine in the neck while opening through the chest, the heart. Rolling the shoulders down and away from the ears. Really stretching those toes back behind you. And then once you've gotten to a point where you feel quite stretched, allowing the tension to release from the muscles as we allow the shape to hold us up. There's a little muscular work happening here in the upper body, of course. But what we really want to think about is allowing the structure of the body, especially the skeletal structure, to support the shape here. Feeling the strength in your back. And once again, reconnecting with the breath. And reconnecting with the body. Sending that breath deep into the belly. Perhaps again extending the out breath longer than the in breath. And taking a deep breath in and letting it go. And we will simply widen our elbows out to the side, stack the hands, and either rest the forehead or the temple, either one, on those stacked hands as we just rest here for a moment. You might bend your knees and again find that windshield wiping motion with the feet to release the low back just a little bit. And from here, we'll bring hands underneath the shoulders, press ourselves back up through table, and, excuse me, I'm having very bad allergies today, so I apologize for all the throat clearing. So from here, we'll bring our toes to touch, and then bring our knees quite wide, perhaps even as wide as the mat. And we'll begin to sit the hips back toward our heels and walk our hands forward into child's pose. Now, since we're going to be here for a few moments, you might approach this child's pose a little bit differently than you would if we were only going to be here for a breath or two. So a few different options. One option, if you find that your glutes are really far away from your heels and it's feeling uncomfortable, one nice option is to bring that cushion or bolster between the glutes and the heels to give yourself something to relax onto once you're in this child's pose. So this is a nice option. You can also bring a bolster or a cushion or a couple of blocks beneath the chest if you feel that your chest is very far away from the mat and it's feeling uncomfortable. Really propping yourself up, finding yourself in a comfortable version of the posture. Another option is to bring a block beneath the forehead in this posture. So, finding your version of this child's pose. Our final propped posture for today. Once again, reconnecting with the breath, reconnecting with the body, sending that breath deep into the belly, maybe exhaling longer than the inhale. Observing the sensations in the body, those ever-shifting, ever-changing sensations as they shape-shift moment to moment. Again, reconnecting with the breath, the body, and then taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Beginning to walk up out of this posture. And we'll remove any props out of our way. And we'll make our way onto our seat here. From here, let's plant our feet hip width apart, plant the hands behind our glutes, and then gently lift the hips up toward the ceiling for a reverse table, just a little counter posture here. You can even let the head fall back. And then releasing that posture and finding your way onto your back on your mat. Extending the feet long on the mat. You could always put a cushion underneath the knees if the low back is feeling tender. Hands can be on the mat beside you or perhaps resting on the body, on the belly. If it feels safe and comfortable for you to do so, I invite you to close your eyes for just a moment here as we once again reconnect with the breath. Reconnect with the body. Soften the brow. Soften the heart and between the shoulder blades. Relax the belly. Relax the glutes. Soften the hands and soften the feet. Melting into the mat a little bit with every exhale. Taking this sacred pause at the end of our class allows our body, mind, and nervous system to do a little bit of integration of the work we've done on our mat today. Such a sweet time that we don't often give ourselves. This pause, this moment for integration. Noticing the state of the mind. Now that you've given yourself this gift of time to restore your nervous system, your vital energy. Noticing too the state of the heart, the state of the emotions. Beginning to deepen the breath, directing it deep into the belly. Maybe extending the exhale longer than the inhale. And then as you allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm, noticing the state of the body, noticing how you feel now, whether you feel any differently than you did before you came into today's class. Noticing whether there are any messages offered from your body in this moment, anything your body needs, anything it's asking for. Rest, nutritious fuel, water, hydration, a hot bath, a walk, sunshine, anything at all. And then taking a deep breath in and letting it go. Awakening through the fingers and toes. Stretching the arms long above you, stretching the legs long on the mat, taking a nice long stretch here. And then turning to your favorite side. Pausing for just a moment in this fetal position. Savoring this transition, this liminal space. And then pressing up to seated. And once again, taking a moment here to breathe deeply in and let it go. Thank you so much for joining me for today's class. I hope that this has felt supportive and that you feel just a little bit more restored, a little bit more refreshed going into your weekend. I'm wishing you an amazing, wonderful, restful weekend. Take care, and I hope to see you next time. Namaste.